world is at its breaking point, the power of community matters. And sometimes they become the guiding light. Your favorite Cobra Kai channel. All here, together.
Bonzai, I'm the Cobra Kai Kid, and welcome to the Roundtable.
What's up, dudes and dudettes? Cobra Kai Fandom here. Welcome to the Roundtable.
Hey Cobra Kai fans, it's CKN here.
This is the Bonzai Kai Dojo featuring the guest sensei.
And from Cobra Kai Kompanion, I am Brianna.
This is Jacob from The Chosen One here, and welcome to the Roundtable.
Daniel-san here from Cobra Kai Studio, and welcome to the Roundtable.
You asked for it, and now we are back. The Roundtable, Part 3. Are you ready? Two dojos are at the center of this controversy. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Roundtable Part 3 conclusion. Like I said, the episode was so huge we had to break it into two parts. But if you haven't watched the first part, make sure to check it out and click on the link above. With that, guys, let's get back to the conclusion of the Roundtable Part 3. Number 7, when Robby finds Miguel with Sam, what was your first thought?
Here we go again. And I've defended Robby quite a lot, but, you know, him going and lunging for Miguel when he's just back from a coma and Sam stepping in, I suppose in Robby's eyes, that cements her position on the matter. And he takes that as his cue, right, I'm out. It sets the tone, it sets the stakes, and it really sort of takes the character development from season 1 and 2 and it flips it on its head for all the characters, and it just sends them in very rich, organic ways. So it is one of them scenes where it's a turning point, but again, history repeats itself. It's a major parallel throughout the show. And yeah, it was just like, you know, here we go again. In a good way, but it's just like, oh dear.
What was my thoughts when I saw Robby seeing Miguel and Sam together? Robby has been betrayed by almost everybody this season, and I think him seeing Sam and Miguel together was what really pushed him into joining Kreese's Cobra Kai. As much as I like Miguel and Sam together, I felt really bad for Robby in that scene.
My first thought on Robby walking into the backyard at Mr. Miyagi's house and finding Miguel with Sam is, this child has the worst timing in the history of any fictional character ever. We've seen, you know, the 3 seasons of this, 2 years of Robby's life, actually a year and a half at this point, and he just has the absolute worst timing ever. He is constantly either walking in and causing trouble that he doesn't need to be causing because he just by being there, or he's walking in and seeing things and taking them completely out of context. And this is, you know, what happened at that point, even though, you know, Miguel and Sam do absolutely still have feelings for each other. Neither of them actually knew Robby had been released. So they had no idea that he was going to walk in on them. But he just has horrible, horrible timing. And as we move forward, if any character gets a break, I really hope it's Robby from just this galactic conspiracy against him ever doing anything at an appropriate time. Because he really, really needs a chance to, you know, stop having such bad luck.
When Robby finds Miguel with Sam, I honestly thought they were going to have a fight, but clearly Sam cut up any opportunity of that because she defended Miguel. And Miguel obviously hadn't been long since he had recovered, and he's still kind of recovering, but the way Robby came in, you know, I got a really different vibe from him. And it's almost one of the moments like, oh no, like Robby's going to get the wrong side to this. And Sam and Miguel are looking like, you know, they've always been that thing where Robby's never really been there. And it's almost like Sam's neglecting the fact that Robby was in the juvenile detention, and it just looked really bad. And of course, the way they flipped the perspective was insane. But I honestly was worried there's going to be a fight. But it turns out there wasn't, and I was just like, nah, this is it. Robby's going to have to go Cobra Kai now. and that was the final straw before he went to join Cobra Kai. So it was all going to happen.
My first thought, it was really simple. It's like, damn, when is Robby going to catch a break? When is Robby, this dude just continues to get dumped on, things continue to happen to him. I mean, he's trying to find his own way, but that moment, I think, is what I would call a soul-crushing moment. I just felt bad for him, man. I just really felt bad that Robby just gets dumped on. Now, granted, he created some of this for himself, but I'm just saying to kind of get blindsided like that, you know. But I didn't agree with him wanting to fight Miguel at that moment, not at one bit. So that kind of bothered me about him, and I just felt disappointed with his character during that scene.
Robby's reaction actually really annoyed me after he catches Sam and Miguel together. I mean, the dude almost killed Miguel, for crying out loud, and he does not even apologize. He's still angry, trying to hurt Miguel? What? Come on, dude. That's not cool at all.
When Robby found Miguel with Sam, this was my first thought. So when I first seen Robby actually, go to the dojo and see Sam and Miguel, I thought right there was going to be an actual rematch between Robby and Miguel because of how, Robby was ready to strike first. He was not holding back. But unexpectedly, Sam steps up and actually keeps the fight from happening. So I really didn't expect Sam to do that, but I was actually thinking that we were going to get a Miguel versus Robby fight again, with obviously Miguel being not back in shape. That probably wouldn't have worked out too good for Miguel. But either way, I thought that scene was pretty interesting.
When Robby sees Miguel with Sam, my first thought was, here's their third fight or second fight here. It was the second fight, right?
Right.
Was about to break out there, but it always just seems with this show, the timing is always so coincidental,
I know, and the shots, because all of a sudden he appears like right in between them, and it's just like, oh,
right,
God.
exactly.
I was like, oh man, I feel bad for Robby.
Yeah, you do. Again, that's the whole thing with this show, is everybody is always in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Right. So it's like, I do feel bad for Robby, but at the same time, I really do think that Sam and Miguel are the two that belong together.
Without a doubt.
Number 8, Ali returns. What are your thoughts?
Ali's return is something I've been waiting for since I first heard of a new TV series based off Karate Kid. My wife looks just like Elizabeth Shue. Those two women are the most beautiful women on the world. Ali's actually my first celebrity crush. She aged really well, and hearing her speak of time passing by and about, the circle of life, you're 17 and then life passes by, and then you end up having 17-year-old teenagers of your own. Time flies like crazy. There was so much nostalgia in that scene. It gave me goosebumps. Perfect closure for Johnny, giving him revenge on life and giving him a chance to have that date with Ali that Daniel took away from him. So yeah, really cool, really enjoyed it. Shamoon, your thoughts on Ali's return?
Ali's return was absolutely amazing. I loved the way they brought her back. It was very close to the end of season 3, and at first I was thinking, oh, this is annoying that it's so late in the season. But it does make sense, because in the end that we saw Johnny and Daniel come together, it was because of Ali. And I love the way they used Ali in such a short amount of time and made her impact the entire story going forward for Johnny and Daniel. And to me, that was so important. Of course, it was very nostalgic. I absolutely love the fact they touched upon a huge character from the Karate Kid. And Ali was, of course, the love interest to Johnny and Daniel. So things were really interesting, and it hit again with that Karate Kid 1 vibe, and I absolutely loved it. It was funny, there was some crazy moments with Ali and Johnny, and of course rekindling some sort of things there. But I love the way she brought Johnny and Daniel together, because that really made it important.
I am not gonna lie, my first thoughts on Ali's return were, oh my God, why? I made no secret of the fact that I was not at all invested in seeing Elizabeth Shue back. I was worried that Ali would cause more drama between Johnny and Daniel that they absolutely did not need. I was worried, you know, and then when she went to lunch with Johnny and she mentioned that she was divorced, my first thought, and I actually said out loud, oh God, why'd they do that? Because it just seems very fan fiction-y, you know, but in the end, she was there to bring them together. She was there to push Johnny toward Carmen. And they set up all these, you know, tropes and expectations, and they shot them all down as they always do. But in that one moment when she mentioned that she was divorced, I did lose my faith in the writers, and I was very scared. But I think with her being a one and done, and actually she could even come back at this point as a friend to Amanda, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, because we've seen that, you know, she's not going to cause the drama that I was afraid she would.
Our thoughts on Allie's return. It turned out better than I expected it would be, actually. I thought it was just that she was going to come in. It almost happened where she almost kissed Johnny, and I thought her coming back in was going to originally start screwing everything up with Amanda and Johnny, and everybody's like interested in Allie again. And it sort of happened, but Allie was the voice of reason, which was able to bring Johnny and Daniel together finally, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was great.
yeah, absolutely.
Especially when Johnny is like the Mung Dal Bowl, and like Allie's like, well, I don't know what a Mung Dal Bowl is, but I'm gonna get a cheeseburger.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
That whole part was funny too. So I really enjoyed Elizabeth Shue coming back as Allie, because I think it was necessary.
And they didn't abuse
Daniel
it.
and Johnny to see one another in a different light.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Oh man, for me, I think it was, I kept waiting, like, when is Allie gonna return? When is Allie gonna return? The whole entire season 3. And then when she did, I thought it was so fun and wonderful the way that her character not only got to have these moments with Johnny and kind of peel back some of the onions and all this facade stuff that he was trying to do, but kind of get to like who Johnny really was. I thought she was able to get past all those layers to really touch his heart and help him open up his eyes. And that's what I love about Johnny's character. He's willing to grow, but sometimes someone needs to smack him in the face. And for whatever reason, with Allie, she was able to do it in a way to really wake him up. But seeing the golf and stuff scene and seeing them having fun, it was just a feel-good moment. And she just did an amazing job fulfilling what she needed to do to help these guys get back together, refocus together, and work together.
Something we all knew was going to happen but didn't know how it was going to happen was Allie returning. And I think the way they did it was pretty epic. You know, she wasn't around for too long, but at the same time, she played a very important role and got Daniel and Johnny to kind of bond a little bit more before moving into, obviously, this season finale where they're going to, be teaching at their own dojo, whatever it's going to be called. So I thought that was pretty epic that Allie returned in the way she did. I mean, there could have probably been better ways, there could have been worse ways, but I think that the writers did a hell of a job there.
I think Allie's return was handled beautifully. It was not forced at all and organically worked into the story. I loved how she was the reason why Daniel and Johnny decided to put past their differences and work together in the end.
Thoughts on Allie's return? Admittedly, when it was announced that Elizabeth Shue might have been coming back, I was skeptical and worried because I thought, right, Johnny's come so far along the way with Carmen. I didn't want Allie to basically come in and just derail the whole thing. And I didn't want her to, we're trying to get Daniel and Johnny on the same page here. I really, honestly, truly didn't want her to be the reason that they stayed apart again. But it turns out she was the reason they came together. She, like Kumiko, like Chosen, is one of the MVPs this season. And the way she just puts it on both of them and says, hey, you basically see yourselves in each other and maybe you just don't always like what you see. She's the reason that they bond together. Absolutely, Point Mills. I'd say Allie's return was handled so brilliantly that this needed to happen. It needed to happen for Johnny to move on, and it needed to happen for Johnny and Daniel to bury the hatchet. But if Allie wasn't to return, then that is a great send-off if she doesn't come back. I mean, I'd love for her to come back. That'd be great. But if that's her send-off, then what a way to go out, uniting the dojos together.
Number 9, your thoughts on the house fight in season 3.
So my thoughts on the house fight in the season 3 finale are, wow, what a finale for that scene. I mean, I absolutely loved the entire fight. I loved the coordination. I loved the way the camera was in constant motion. I hardly think I don't think there was actually a cut, so it was very, very articulate. It was honestly amazing to watch, and I absolutely loved every single moment of it. When it was at the Larusso household as well, it made it extra special, because of course the Christmas party is going on, and none of the adults were really knowing about the fight that was going on at the household. And honestly, I absolutely loved every single moment of it. And this fight just really showed how much more insane the fights are getting in Cobra Kai. I absolutely loved every single part of it, and I loved the dialogue and the way things happened. There were twists. It was amazing, crazy.
So one of my favorite moments, because you know me, I've been trained in Taekwondo. I really love martial arts. I love fighting scenes. So the school fight was like my favorite fight. But now in season 3 we have the Larusso house fight, which it's pretty close tie between those two on the fights. I mean, we had more students fighting in this fight, and the choreography for the fight scenes was ridiculous. So I almost want to say this is probably my favorite fight besides the All Valley fight. So I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but the way it went down, we seen Hawk change sides. The only disappointment I have to say is the fact that Sam and Tori still didn't get to finish it fully fighting. But we know they will in All Valley Tournament in Season 4, so that's something to look forward to.
I'll be honest, man, I felt I got a huge Tarantino vibe. It was like Kill Bill / Once Upon a Time in Hollywood combined. Very like Californian, very stylish, and one shot, guys, no cut, no editing. A tour de force by the director. Tour de force? Come on, it's French. Tour de force. Amazing. And that moment at the end, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. That one moment at the end of that scene. Woo, boy.
I love this, and I think what was different about it is it felt so close quarter, where you had in season 2 was this big fight that was taking place all over. You had this in this small confined quarters where it's very up close and personal, and the level of choreography in the fight is just amazing. That one shot take going through, I mean, it was just so masterful. But I really felt that it was very personal, and that attack in the home was very intentional with the purpose of to destroy. And so I felt like it was very, very personal, that fight, hand to hand, in small close quarters. These two dojos at war, 3 dojos I should say, actually at war. And I just thought it was brilliant. I still love season 2's fight for whatever reason more. I think because there was that cliffhanger with Miguel, and I just felt it was, I don't know, I just felt it was amazing. But season 3's fight, couldn't have asked for any more. It was awesome.
The house fight, far and away better than the school fight, which I did not think was possible. But, you know, I know how narrow that bridge across the courtyard is, and I know how narrow that hallway is. So for that particular oneer to know that those cameras were flipping around, and they had actors, and they had stunt people, and they had all of these switches going on, and, you know, Sholo lifting furniture so the camera could swing by so he could put the furniture back down, and just listening to Jacob describe what was involved in the shooting of that oneer, I think that this is probably the most epic fight ever shot for a television show, and I'm curious how they're going to top it. But I thought the same thing about the school fight too, so I have no idea what's coming next year. I have no idea how they're going to top it, but with trusting in the big 3, Hito and Janelle, I think it's possible that they can.
I loved it and didn't love it at the same time. Without getting into too much detail, I still prefer the school brawl. The excitement was just more there because like there was like a million kids cheering and it was just out of control. The one in the Larusso house was also out of control, but I personally was not a huge fan of the Christmas theme. That's just me.
Right.
But the action was there. It was just a fun scene.
Yeah, it was. Like, it was insane. It was like a little like too much to be believable for a house fight for me, but
It was still great to watch.
It was awesome. Every part of it was awesome, but I kept having to remind myself, like, oh right, this is supposed to be happening in someone's house. Like,
Right.
like really?
Yeah. So, but I loved it. I still thought.
Oh yeah, I still loved it for everything that it was. But yeah.
Absolutely.
The fights in this show are absolutely amazing. I would love a behind the scenes kind of reel of how they do these epic scenes, and just the matchups are so perfect. Tori versus Sam, Kyler versus a wounded Miguel, Hawk versus the, like the background students, and then saving his binary brother. Every single thing about this fight was amazing. The build up to Bert getting slammed through the window, it was brilliant. Now, I will say this, Bert's love of animals seems to be getting him in trouble. He liked Clarence, and then he got him kicked out the Cobra Kai dojo. He liked he's like, here, kitty, kitty, and he got thrown through a window. So I think, Bert, future lesson, stop following animals. It seems to lead you into a bit of trouble. Kyler was the perfect opponent for Miguel to come back, to prove his strength, to prove his determination, and he done it in fine fashion, and the friends are back together. And yeah, overall the house fight was just sick. I love the one shot, I love the fights, every single person nailed it. I bet that must have taken them forever to shoot, and yeah, I'd love to see how they do that. That's amazing. In terms of this or the school fight, I'm still gonna say the school fight, because I feel like there's nothing cooler than karate kids just duking it out in a school. It's something that I think we all wanted to probably do when we were younger. But the house fight is amazing. Make no mistake.
That fight was absolutely crazy. I loved all the mirrors to the school fight back in season 2. They did a lot of those same camera angles, which was really cool. And they even did one long shot that was probably 2 minutes straight without even cutting the camera, just like they did in season 2. So I thought that attention to detail and those callbacks were really cool.
Number 10, what did you think about Hawk's transformation during the season?
Something I gotta say about Hawk is that he really surprised me this season. He made a lot of changes throughout the season. It started with a lot of things really, but it started with the school. Obviously he was still in that bully kind of mentality situation where he was ready to fight Dimitri, and then things just slowly started to progress to him changing. And then of course when Kyler came in, that really threw him off when Kyler came and joined Cobra Kai. And then just, he broke Dimitri's arm. There was just subtle things of him seeing things clearly and not wanting to be this person that he become. And then knowing Miguel's not going to be on his side anymore, and then Robby steps up and kind of takes his place, becomes the badass in Cobra Kai, steals the snake, kind of trash talks Hawk. His progression was pretty damn interesting, and I'm curious to see where it leads in season 4.
What did we think about Hawk's transformation during the season? It needed to happen, and it was a slow, progressional change. More and more, we saw that Hawk started, realizing that he needed to change his ways, that he did not belong in Kreese's Cobra Kai.
Yeah, I mean, I loved seeing like the remorse and like him slowly come back to being Dimitri's binary brother, and
right.
I guess more so of like who he really is at heart, back to his roots in a way.
Absolutely.
And I thought that because the whole evil Hawk thing, I was like, this is a little too intense for me.
It lasted for a while, but I think it needed a change.
Yeah, because like what's his name says, Dimitri. Wow, like Dimitri says, he's still Eli.
Eli Moskowitz.
Yep.
As season 3 progressed, Hawk got more and more darker, and we did see him feel bad at times, and we saw that light in him, but at the same time, he did get so evil by breaking Dimitri's arm and then beating the heck out of Brooks. So I was actually pretty surprised when Hawk redeemed himself in the end, but at the same time, it is his best friend Dimitri, so I think Hawk is still a badass, and he'll still take care of whoever he needs to take care of, but when it comes to his friends, he'll be there for them.
I have to admit that I was getting super annoyed with Hawk. I felt like he's gone into the right field, like as far right as you could possibly go, with just utter like disdain for everybody, man. And it was almost where I was like, it's kind of like a little too much. But I think that's because there were moments in there where I think he had to hold on to that facade, and the only way to do that was to go even harder on people and go harder on people he didn't like. And so I really thought that his transformation was was kind of being signaled throughout the season, as many others saw, that we saw moments of Eli, like I call them Eli moments, come through. So we kind of knew, but when it happened, oh my God, I mean, it made me cheer for him. It made me like find redemption in his character, and that friendship is more important than being loyal to something or someone that you don't trust. And I think that's what happened in that moment. So I really thought it was such an amazing moment for these characters to come together and for him to join and realign with values that he really had, that he had been hiding under Kreese's dojo with Cobra Kai.
Hawk's transformation, I've been quite positive about the whole season 3 experience, so here it is for maybe my only negative critique. I'm nitpicking here, but Hawk's transformation was a bit too rushed, a bit too shoehorned, if you will, too sudden, too quick. I like when those things take time and nuance, you know? For me, it was too abrupt, but the emotional punch at the end was intact and made me cry, so I'm fine about it, you know, no biggie.
Now, Hawk's descent during the season, from, you know, angry teenage boy to damn near outright evil, to someone who could actually follow through with that beatdown he put on Brooks that was, you know, so vile that we weren't even allowed to see the outcome of it. All we know is that Hawk had, you know, his Brooks blood all over his knuckles, so we have no idea what his face looked like. That scared me because I was afraid that with that descent we were going to lose Eli forever, and then the breaking of Dimitri's arm just pushed it further and further down. But then in that moment in the Larusso house fight, when we see through Hawk's eyes and he's looking around at the people he's hanging out with, and he's hanging out with Kyler, and these are people that he doesn't want to be with, and then he's watching his friends get beaten, and to see him in that moment decide that he doesn't want to hurt Dimitri, he wants to unify with him and he wants to protect him, and for them to go from that to, you know, the slide into the kick, fighting back to back, shoulder to shoulder, that made my heart soar with absolute joy. So overall, Eli's progression through the season made me very happy, and I got my little boy back, and I'm sure there's still elements of Hawk in there, but Eli is in control again, so that makes me happy.
I absolutely loved Hawk's transformation. Now, if you were to ask me who was my best arc, judging on my previous answers, I'm going to say Sam. But I love Hawk's turn, his desire to prove himself, his desire to be number one in Miguel's place, his desire to really sort of prove himself to Kreese, and his turn at the end of the season. I don't think Kreese saw that coming. I don't think Kreese is going to be happy that Hawk switched at all. Full evil Hawk mode, goes to town on Brooks, probably nearly killing him, and Kreese is just there, he's like, finish him, and he doesn't even get a chance to say it because Hawk's already beating him. He's relishing in it, he's loving it, he's enjoying it. And just seeing how Hawk comes to this realization that everything I joined Cobra Kai for is now lost. His Cobra Kai story in season 3 is just him being a soldier. And I feel like it's going to be an interesting thing seeing how Kreese is going to react to it. I don't think Kreese will be surprised, but Hawk's development throughout this season was brilliant. And make no mistake, there is a lot for Hawk to make up for in the next season. Trashing the Miyagi dojo, stealing the Medal of Honor, the things he said to Sam, trying to fight with Miguel, breaking Dimitri's arm, you know, chasing him through a school. He has a lot to make up for, and that's going to be so exciting as part of his arc next season. I think every single person jumped out of their seat when the music plays and Hawk's looking to save Dimitri and he kicks the two Cobra Kais out the way, the Hawk screech, perfect.
What did I think of Hawk's transformation? I loved it, and I think at first I didn't see this coming because at the end of season 2 we could clearly see that his allegiance was with Kreese. And we saw at the start of season 3 he was really enjoying Kreese being his sensei, but then there were moments where you could see that Hawk saw a misunderstanding with Kreese and he wasn't happy with certain decisions he was making. For example, when they cut some of the students like Bert, And of course, when Kyla came in with Brooks, remember the situation with Robby coming into Cobra Kai really annoyed Hawk, and this complete flip of the script moment was awesome. And the way they did it, you know, where he stops Dimitri from getting hurt once again, was a badass moment, and I absolutely loved that. It was shocking, but it was a really nice surprise, and I've loved his development, and I can't wait to see how he'll try and compensate for the things he did, like with Miyagi-Do and Daniel in the past.
Question number 11. Do you think Kreese will keep his word if Cobra Kai loses? He will leave.
Yes and no. I think it's a trick because he's a snake in the grass, and that's what they do. Right. So I think he is going to lose the tournament, and Kreese leaves, and then Kreese on his way out is, oh, by the way, I'm going to keep my end of the bargain, but meet Mr. Terry Silver or something like that. And Terry Silver walks in. It's like, Danny, you know.
Or Mike Barnes or something.
And Mike Barnes, yeah, something like that. So I'm going to say yes and no, right?
Yeah, I agree.
If Cobra Kai loses, I don't think Kreese will stick to his word exactly. I think he'll find a way to weasel out of it, whether he has Silver, Barnes, or somebody else take over Cobra Kai. I don't know, but I don't see Kreese holding true to his word if he loses. I think he would try to find a way to weasel out of it. It just seems like something Kreese would do.
And the man is a pathological liar. We've already established he's a murderer. He's a war criminal. We know he's a child abuser. We've seen him do it. We know that he brainwashes children. We've seen him do it. We know he's manipulative. We know he's plotting. We know that everything with him is a scheme of some kind to put himself on top, that he's always going to set it up, at least so that he perceives himself as having won. I don't think he knows how to tell the truth anymore. I honestly don't. And I'm sure that, you know, if, fingers crossed, Johnny and Daniel do succeed at the All Valley, which I really do think they have to, which may mean they won't. But anyway, I think they really do have to, but I do not think he's going to go away. I think he's going to have some kind of backup plan that is going to keep this conflict going. Mainly because if we lose Cobra Kai at the end of season 4, then what do we have for the next 2 seasons?
So if Kreese loses the All Valley tournament with Cobra Kai, I don't think he's going to leave. I mean, if he really peacefully leaves, then that's some insane character development for John Kreese. But from the history we've learned, history repeats itself. So I don't think John Kreese is going to let this slide. Just remember how he reacted with Johnny when he became second place in the 1984 All Valley tournament. Imagine what he's going to do to his students if they lose. I don't know how he's going to react, but it could send shockwaves. And I'm sure that if we see Terry, and I'm sure we will, I don't know how he'll react to this too, but I'm pretty sure that they just both want to hurt Daniel and Johnny even more. But the Cobra Kai students might lose faith in their sensei, and this could really cause more mayhem going into season 5. But I don't think he's gonna let this slide. It's John Kreese, remember.
I'm gonna say yes, because he's not gonna lose. I'm gonna tell you that. Yes, everyone's gonna get upset. No. Let me ask you this. Do you honestly think that he's going to allow Miyagi-Do's best students and Eagle Fang's best star pupils to even make it to the tournament? I mean, since when does Kreese ever condone a fair fight? This is war to him. He is gonna pull out some of the dirtiest stuff to injure these opponents before they even make it to the tournament. And I think that is actually going to work for him, work for that dojo, and they're gonna fight dirty during the tournament as well. And I think that Robby actually will win this tournament.
I do think Kreese will leave if Cobra Kai loses the tournament. I do think he'll keep his word. Maybe he'll come up with some sort of loophole, but I do think he's going to respect the deal.
I feel like Kreese is many things, but I do feel like a man of honor is one of them in aspect of if he loses, he will walk. But I don't see them losing. That's the thing. Cobra Kai to me are not going to lose. I feel like there's going to be some reason that they're going to stick around. Now, either that's going to be Robby winning the tournament, or it's going to be related to Terry Silver. Terry Silver coming back into the mix changes the whole dynamic for the show. People like Kyler are gonna thrive, people like Tori are gonna thrive, people like Robby are gonna thrive, and imagine if Sean joins the crew, he's gonna thrive. It's going to be amazing seeing it come to fruition. Kreese, in his own dysfunctional way, cares about Johnny. Every single episode this season, or like not every episode, but every so often he's like, this is your last chance, Johnny. Come back to Cobra Kai. How many times has it been Johnny's last chance? And Kreese still offers him it because he sees Johnny as his son. And he sees Robby as like the next heir of kin, you know? He wants them to be working together, 3 generations of Cobra Kai. And I think by the end of the season, he realizes, no, I'm not gonna have Johnny. Johnny's siding with Larusso and the Miyagi-Dos. I need to start getting my own friends, hence why he calls Silver. But he's also thinking, hey, you don't want to join me, okay, your son will be a good replacement for what you never were then. And I think that's where his head's at. As far as Kreese keeping his word, I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see if he does or not. But, you know, it all depends on the context of season 4.
Well, guys, the only thing that will ever make John Kreese quit and leave is death itself. Nothing else. Period.
Number 12, the final scene with Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do joining forces and Daniel and Johnny bow to each other. How did you feel?
When In the Air Tonight started playing as the kids walk into the backyard, I realized very quickly that as they were, walking in one by one, Johnny was going to be coming around that corner when the beat dropped. And I knew it. And he did. And then I've been waiting for this moment for all my life as they bowed to each other. And honestly, guys, I had been. I didn't even realize that this, need of mine to see these two be friends, it's not just since season 1. It's since the end of the first movie. And, looking back at stories that I used to write back then, before I even knew what fan fiction was, I would always bring Johnny back and he and Daniel would end up friends. So I've needed this my whole life, or since I was 11 anyway. So I felt joy, I felt relief, and mostly I think what I felt in that moment was vindication. Because so many people for the last 2 years have told me I was insane if I ever thought these two were going to team up, and if I ever thought that Johnny and Daniel were going to be a dojo together, that they were enemies and that's just the way it was going to be. That after all of that, I was right. And I don't think it was like that hard to, pick up on. We all did, I think. But yeah, it was joy and vindication and just all around wonderfulness that, left me bawling for the next several hours.
We knew this team up was coming. We knew Johnny and Daniel would join forces, but the way they did it was so epic, with In the Air Tonight playing and with the visuals of them at Miyagi-Do bowing to each other, bowing to their students, and then Johnny saying, "Let's begin." It was just all perfect, and I can't wait for season 4 because of that last scene. It was definitely so epic.
So the final scene with Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do joining forces, then seeing Daniel and Johnny bowing to each other, was honestly amazing. And honestly, I can't forget how insane that was. I absolutely loved the fact that Daniel and Johnny bowed together and they didn't even say anything to each other. They really hold this new friendship and bond, and you can see that it's really developed throughout this season. And it's been a long time coming, and I still remember the time when Johnny said, "You're alright, Larusso," to Daniel when he won the All Valley tournament in 1984. That was literally the start of their relationship, and it's come full circle. They're forming dojos together, and I can't wait to see how that goes. But also seeing the students reconcile and come together and form together was amazing. All the partnerships and duos that have now come back together and are standing together against Cobra Kai is only going to mean that the next season will be more badass.
For me personally, it was like a moment that you never knew you wanted so bad. And so, but just that moment of respect, I think that's what it was. The moment of respect towards each other, knowing the history, knowing 30 plus years of animosity, anger, frustration, that level of respect is just something that I think was powerful, very powerful, where these two dojos come together to help each other. And it was one of those moments that made me, break down after watching it, simply because it was something that I thought was so beautiful, like I said, and that we didn't expect. And it was just written so amazing that I can't wait to see what they do next together.
I remember when it was said that the last 90 seconds of this season was going to blow everyone away. And admittedly, call it a bit of a fanboy, as much as I would really think Robby being there would make that scene perfect. But I loved it either way. I love Hawk being with Dimitri again. I love Nate and Bert being together. I love Chris and Mitch being together. Sam and Miguel, Daniel and Johnny. And I love the way the music builds up. It's the perfect song choice. I love the way the music builds up to the drum roll as soon as Johnny walks in. And I can feel it. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. This was an ending filled with hope. Johnny and Daniel coming together was the basis of what this show was built on and was leading towards for nearly 3 seasons now, and I'm so happy that it's paid off, and I cannot wait to see them two working together. It's probably my most rewatched scene from season 3. I just love the way it ends. It ends with hope and prosperity. All the friends are back together from season 1. Chris and Mitch are back together. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I think even that kid in the background who Johnny smacked the books out of his hand, I think he's there and all. I'm so excited to see how they're going to work together next season. And I think I speak for everyone when I say, I've been waiting for this moment for all my life.
Yeah, the final scene was what I call goosebumps on toast. I mean, In the Air Tonight is one of the most haunting songs ever written, well, especially if you know about the origins of the song, as revealed by Phil Collins on BBC back in the days. Look it up, you'll thank me for it. I mean, the drums, so powerful. Thank goodness Hayden Schlossberg warned us about the last 90 seconds being pretty epic, because it did make me cry baby tears, so absolutely insane. Woo! Love it.
Woof. The scene right at the end where Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang come together, Johnny and Daniel bow to each other, choked me up, made me teary-eyed.
It was definitely an intense scene.
And just to see them bow to each other, even thinking about it right now gets, your heart pumping, gets you like, wow. Something we thought we would never see, peace and tranquility between the two.
Right, bowing to one another, showing respect to one another.
Because they've earned each other's respect at this point, so absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Definitely gave me chills the first time we watched it.
Without a doubt.
The end of this season was so touching, amazing, badass. So many amazing things happened. We've seen not only 2 dojos come together, but 2 senseis, masters, whatever you want to call them. We see them come together. They bowed to each other, which was, to me, a very, emotional moment. It was something I didn't expect, but at the same time kind of seen coming once we knew that they were going to join forces. So the fact that they included that, and that's what ended the season, the last 90 seconds was definitely pretty damn epic, and damn sure didn't expect it. So hats off to the creators, they really hyped that up, and for good reason. That was a hell of a way to end the season.
It's hard to think of one specific moment that's my favorite, but one moment that definitely gives me chills when I think about it is when Kreese confronts Eagle Fang and tells Johnny this is his last chance, and Johnny gets right in his face and says, good. The way Kreese puts on his sunglasses and walks away, that epic confrontation was definitely one of the best parts of season 3.
In all honesty, my favorite moment of the entire season was the Larusso house fight. The fight scenes always tend to be my favorite moments because I connect with them. So personally, that was my favorite moment, and it was hard to choose this because there were so many other moments that were really close, but I love seeing where the characters stand coming into a season as far as their fighting and training skills. And I think we got to see that. We got to see Dimitri fight, Hawk fight. We got to see everybody fight, except for Robby, of course. But we kind of got to see him fight a little bit when he fought Johnny. So it still kind of ended with him fighting too, I guess. Just not with the dojos. But that would have to be my favorite moment.
My favorite scene, well, no brainer for me. It has to be the Tanmei. Kumiko reading the letter from Miyagi, explaining that Sam is like his Tanmei, his granddaughter. That was just absolutely gorgeous. My wife and I were like, wow, they really went for it. So just a beautiful scene, beautifully shot, beautifully written, beautifully performed by Ralph Macchio and Kumiko. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
My favorite moment, without a doubt, was Hawk's switch. I loved it. I loved just when Hawk switches, when he realizes, you know, is it a bit sudden? True, it's a little bit sudden. But throughout the season, we're giving nuggets of information that lead up to this point. And not only that, Dimitri is such a cool friend that despite Hawk breaking his arm, he's like, do you want to help me? You know, he says to Dimitri, do you want to help me win this thing? And Dimitri's like, yeah, let's do it. And then they just go to town. I want to see those two doing the will technique next season, because it felt like they were doing it in that scene, and they are going to be a duo. Not, you know, Dimitri's going to get better training now from Daniel and Johnny, and he's only going to get better. And Hawk is probably only second to Miguel and Robby, and maybe Sam. Other than that, he's one of the best fighters in the show, especially after season 3 and the way he beat up people. So it's going to be interesting seeing those two work together.
So my favorite moment of season 3 has to be the moment when Daniel and Johnny reconcile. I literally think that moment has been something I've been waiting for a long time. I love these characters, and I love the way that we've seen their arcs continue in the Cobra Kai series, and of course them being such important characters to the Karate Kid franchise. I mean, imagine not having Johnny and Daniel in that. It's literally nothing. And I think it's so important that we see more of this going into season 4, because this is something we have not seen. Johnny and Daniel teaming up, and that's something I've wanted to see for a very long time. I think that was just my favorite moment, on the sense that they are together and, you know, they are going to fight Kreese together. It's just iconic, and I love so many moments, but I think that one really got me because I can't forget how great it was.
Favorite moment, absolutely no debate whatsoever about it, Daniel saving Johnny's life. I had thought that I needed to see Johnny protect Daniel for whatever reason, but in that fight when Johnny is losing so badly and Kreese is on the verge of killing him, and I'm screaming, where's Daniel, where's Daniel? And then Daniel is there, and he is kicking Kreese off Johnny, and he is putting himself between them, and he is protecting him, and he is saving him. That, to me, I was out of my chair. I was so happy. I wanted that so badly. And that has replaced the season 2 handshake for me as my favorite moment of the entire series. Did not realize just how badly I needed to see Daniel save Johnny's life until I did.
What was our favorite moment of season 3? Maybe Amanda slapping Kreese. That was out of nowhere. That was definitely something none of us.
Yes, and following it up with or pairing it with the police station when Daniel and Amanda learned that Kreese took out the restraining order.
It's like, oh no, there was already a restraining order, funny. But it's against you. So
right, and then when they're at the thing to get the All Valley back, and Amanda's getting like chased out by the security guard because she's not allowed to be near Kreese.
Absolutely, but there were
that whole interaction is great.
We'll just go with that one, but there were so many great scenes, and everyone knows that, so that was our favorite, I guess, for now.
Yeah, I was shocked to see Tori crossing the line again and showing that, she got what it takes to actually hurt someone really, really bad or more. She's scary, man. There is no compromise with Tori. I mean, fascinating character overall, but boy, she's quite spooky.
Seeing Hawk beat up Brooks in episode 6 was definitely one of the most shocking moments. Even though we knew this scene was going to happen from the trailer, the way it was shot, the music, the cinematography, everything was put together in a way where I just was not expecting that, and I definitely was not expecting it to be Brooks.
Most shocking moment for me there were a lot of moments that made me gasp or cry out, scream, cry. I mean, all the emotions that all of us felt watching it. But the most shocking thing about season 3 to me is more a realization, and it's one that I came to after, contemplating it and thinking about it and rewatching several times. It's the fact that, Daniel Larusso, Miyagi-Do, the sensei, the longtime student of Nariyoshi Miyagi, this big pacifist, all about peace and balance and focus, and karate is for defense only, had arrived, been pushed to a place where not only did he entertain the notion of murder, but with Johnny's blessing was perfectly willing to commit it. And I think that says a lot for his character development. It says a lot about, just how much Kreese has pushed these two men in the last 34 years and how much damage he has done to them. And just the fact that Daniel is to this point where he's willing and able to kill someone. That to me absolutely was the most shocking thing about season 3 is, we're already to that point with Daniel. And it's believable. I absolutely bought it, which is amazing to me.
The most shocking moment was when Amanda slapped Kreese. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, that was a shocking moment. I would say the end, when we finally see them come together and bow to each other. I really would say that was probably the most shocking for me.
Absolutely, because I was like, oh my God, it's really happening. Because they kept teasing it earlier in the season.
Right.
Like, teaming up to go to find Robby and everything, and then fighting at the garage.
Right.
So it was like, it's finally happening for real.
Exactly.
So I would say the most shocking moment had to be when Hawk was beating the hell out of Brooks. So initially I thought it was going to be Kyla, like a lot of other people did. They really misdirected us on the trailer, and it was actually such an insane moment. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be thinking, but we knew this was going to happen. But when you actually watch the scene, you just realize how insane it was and how much it felt to Hawk when he was bullied, and you really understood the gravity towards how he felt that he was being picked on. And now that he had this strength with being Hawk, he could now defend himself and make sure that he doesn't get bullied. Apart from this scene, I'd probably say the most shocking scene other than that was probably the fact that Hawk broke Dimitri's arm. As I said earlier on, when Sam has the PTSD and Hawk then breaks his arm, I think that was shocking, because I generally wasn't expecting them to hurt Miyagi-Do shooting like that. But that was honestly very shocking as well.
The most shocking moment for me this season, without a doubt, had to be Hawk changing. Because I was just under the assumption, I thought that might happen in season 4. I thought Hawk was going to be this villainy type up until season 4. So for me, that was just my most shocking moment. Seeing Hawk change, hearing the Hawk cry, and then him going and, saving Dimitri at the end. That was the most shocking moment to me. I know there's probably moments that were more shocking, but that one was mine.
I'm going to say on that, Dimitri's arm break, I didn't expect that we were going to have like another sort of scene like that. Now obviously it wasn't like, hey, Miguel breaking his back kind of scene, but the fact that Dimitri gets his arm broken by his former best friend, I think spoke volumes of where the creators wanted to go this season and the steps that they wanted to take. However, Dimitri's arm getting broken was definitely a shocking moment for me, because I just didn't see it coming.
I loved season 3. It had so much nostalgia, but also had such a great original story, and I thought the combination of those made it absolutely epic.
I thought it was a very good season, building on the back of the last season. I loved everything they did with the characters. Everything they did with the characters felt organic, it felt earned, it felt justified, it felt like I believed it. These felt like natural decisions for these characters, natural choices where these characters are going. It felt right, it felt honest. It felt like, right, Robby joining Cobra Kai, that makes sense because everyone abandons him. Miguel joining back with Sam makes sense because of the injury and her feeling guilty. Sam coming into her own, dealing with her PTSD from Tori and the school fight makes sense. Everything made sense this season. I really enjoyed it. It built off the back of season 2, and it's setting up an even bigger season 4, and I cannot wait for that. And I just love the fact that characters like Bobby, were used again. That Bobby wasn't just a one and done for the Cobra Kai reunion of the original group. He's actually back as maybe a recurring character, and he could have played a role in helping Johnny get to see Robby and all that kind of stuff. So I really enjoyed it, and the ending just left me with my mouth on the floor.
So overall, Cobra Kai season 3 is the best season yet. I mean, honestly, the season delivered just more and more and more that we ever wanted. And of course, the near 2-year wait for this season really felt long, and the fact that it delivered in this way really made up for that. I think overall this was one of the most action-packed seasons. It had the best story development for the characters. I absolutely loved the emotion. I loved how gripping it was. I loved the journey for Miguel, how inspiring that was. And I loved the way that you could relate to a lot of the things that were going on. And it just felt so real. I mean, the trauma that Sam had sustained, a lot of people can relate to that. The anxiety, a lot of people have PTSD. And of course, people can relate to Miguel, going through a traumatic situation as well, and trying to find the inner strength to get through it. It was a very inspiring season, and I absolutely love season 3. It will forever be my favorite so far. And honestly, I can't wait to see season 4 and going forward.
And finally, overall impression on season 3. I mean, after watching it, my first sort of gut reaction was that it was just tight with season 2, but behind season 1. After watching the whole thing again a second time, it's actually as good as season 1 in my humble opinion. Now, I feel that it will be hard to top that with season 4, but nothing's impossible with the big 3. They got what it takes. I'm confident, and I want to thank you, David, so much for doing this. This is incredible. Thank you for your roundtables. You are in many ways like the godfather of the Cobra Kai fandom. Should I call you Corleone? Sorry to the young crowd for all the old references, guys. Love you all. Love you, dudes and dudettes. It's such an honor to be part of this fandom. Kirk out.
Overall impression of season 3, cop-out answer, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Is that really a cop-out? Because it's the honest to God truth. There's not a single line of dialogue or a single character decision or action. Even, the storyline from 1969 moves the current story forward in 2018. There wasn't a single second of filler in the entire thing. From the mid-season break on, basically, from episode 5 on, it just kept building and building and building and building, and it was phenomenal and amazing, and you couldn't look away. Easily, to my mind, not just my favorite season of the show so far, but probably one of the best seasons of episodic television I have ever watched of any show. I thought it was brilliantly crafted and brilliantly written, and at the moment, I cannot think of anything that surpasses it in my mind.
Our overall impression of season 3 was that it was the darkest season we've seen. Not a ton of uplifting, hilarious moments as much, but for obvious reasons. I feel like season 3 played more like a movie, like a film than the first 2. The first 2 seemed a little bit more like a television show or whatever, TV show. But the third season just seemed more intense, dramatic, and dark.
Absolutely, yeah, I would agree.
I would agree with that, yeah. So that's how we felt.
My overall impression of season 3 was plain and simple. It was badass. Enough said.
And this concludes TRN's The Roundtable Part 3. I'd like to thank every creator who joined us on the Roundtable. You guys are the voice who truly matter to the Cobra Kai fandom. So make sure to show these creators some love and subscribe to their channels if you haven't already, and leave a comment saying Roundtable 3 so they know that you enjoyed their contribution to the Roundtable series and that we bring them on to the next. Alright guys, thank you so much for all the support, and make sure to subscribe and smash that like button. I'm Dave Rubalcava, and until next time, I'm out of here. Cobra Kai never dies.